Hello everyone. In this video we will look at how AWS Lambda internally works. Lambda, as you know, is a serverless function from AWS, and I presume you're all familiar with it. Today we will look at the internal workings of it. The life cycle of a Lambda function has three phases: the init phase, the invocation phase, and the destroy phase. In the init phase, AWS will initialize the runtime required for the function. For example, if the Lambda function has Java code, then AWS will initialize a JVM. It will also deploy the function artifact which we have provided and make it ready to run. Along with that, it will invoke the init function if we have written any for the function. In the invocation phase, AWS will invoke the function handler in response to a request. So essentially, in this phase, the business logic written within the function handler will be invoked. In the destroy phase, AWS will remove or kill the function instance. It is not well documented when exactly the destroy phase will be called. However, there are some pointers to indicate that if there is no activity in the function instance for 15 minutes, it will be destroyed. However, note that the function, instances are all ephemeral, and it could be destroyed at any time the function is not running, and we really should not be worrying about this phase. Now let us understand what happens when we send a request to a Lambda function. Now let us assume that the init phase takes 30 seconds and the invocation phase takes 2 minutes. That is, init phase is generally called the cold start time. So that is the time required to to initialize stuff, and let's say it takes 30 seconds. Now if we send a request at 10 o'clock, then a new function instance will be created. The function and the init phase will be called, followed by the invocation phase. Now let's say we send another request exactly at the same time. Now essentially we have two concurrent requests. Now in this case, a new function instance will be called, and that function instance will also go through init and invocation. So every concurrent request goes through a separate function instance, a Lambda instance. Now let's say a third request is sent at 10 seconds past 10 o'clock. Now what happens in this case is that we know that the first two function instances are not available, they are busy. So a third function instance will be called, and that will also go through the init and invocation phase. Now let's say a new request is sent at 4 minutes past 10 o'clock. In this case, what happens is that the first two function instances have completed their work, right? So one of these instances will be reused by AWS. So in this case, the first function instance could be reused, and since it's already initialized, the init phase will be skipped and the AWS will directly call its invocation phase. So this is how a function instance will be reused in subsequent requests by initialize once and call invocation multiple times. Okay, so this is, and after some time the function instances, if there is no activity, it could be destroyed. So this is the overall working of internal workings of Lambda functions. Thank you for watching.